Now, question here, it might seem an obvious question, but let's try and see. What would you say, what is the goal of an interview? Generate interest, to go to the following step, to assess the candidate, to get a job, distinct myself from competitors. One more, there are probably many steps, to check the match, clarify expectations. Well, actually here it would be very reasonable to ask, what is the goal of an interview for who? For the candidate or for the recruiter? But we obviously talk all the time from the candidate's perspective. I'll answer what the goal of the interview is a little bit later. In the meantime, let's look at the interview stages. We have a before interview stage, a during interview stage, and an after interview stage. So let's look at it step by step. When we look at the before stage, what we want to do is actually get invited. So it might surprise some of you. It's not that difficult to get invited to an interview. There are a lot of candidates who don't even respond to invitations for an interview. And my recommendation, especially if you're actively looking for a job, check your spam folder. 29 to 34% of our candidates, so when we recruit to Career Angels, they do not reply to a positive response that they've been invited to join the recruitment process. And here, what's worth mentioning is that the invitation to join the recruitment process is sent usually within 24 to 48 hours to the candidates. So it's not even that we invite them after 2 weeks when they've already found a job, but this is as close to immediately responding as we can get while verifying documents. So 1/3 doesn't even participate in the recruitment process, and 50% of the candidates who pass the tests do not show up for the interview that they themselves have chosen. So from a recruiter's perspective, and we've asked other recruiters, executive search consultants, HR, etc., they usually have a no-show rate of 30 to 50%. So if you're the candidate that actually shows up, this is already half the one battle. So first takeaway, respond to emails, check your spam, and actually simply participate. There are some candidates who are reluctant to do tests, saying, especially if they're experiencing, well, at my height of my career, I've been working for the last 15, 20 years, why would I do a stupid test? Do them. They're more objective than any human will ever be. And they do test for matches in terms of corporate culture, etc., etc. So really don't be afraid of taking tests. Worst case that can happen, you learn something new about yourself. Or you learn a new test that you potentially can disagree with. If you're interested in the company, in the opportunity, please prepare. And here what I can actually say, prepare. You will soon see, I hope, why we insist so much on the prepare part. The majority of candidates do not prepare for interviews. I have a question in the chat. Does this really apply now that it is an employer's market? I find it hard to believe that people will not show up. To answer your question, we are currently recruiting, for example, at Career Angels, and approximately half of our candidates ghost us. They simply stop responding. And we are fast in inviting them to join the recruitment process. So it might have improved a little bit looking at the employers' markets, but there is still a lot of misbehavior from the candidate side. 90% of candidates are not really prepared. To give you a couple of examples, what preparation means, they didn't read the website. One of the candidates told me that they wanted to join Career Angels because they've always wanted to work for an advertising agency. Okay. They didn't read the job ads. Didn't read about the interviewer. They didn't read about the industry, especially if they want to switch industries. Didn't read the briefing, etc. Here are some comments now happening. Let me read them out. It is true, I will not show up for the next stage of interview for a job I interviewed for yesterday. The conditions are not very good. Then cancel the interview. It might be that with the same company, there will be better conditions or different conditions. And because of ghosting them or simply not showing up, you will end up on a candidate blacklist and barred from all future opportunities with that particular company. Then there's one more comment. Surely ghosting is even worse these days now that people are, yeah. Good. Then what does being not really prepared means? Didn't read the briefing. And now again, preparation means at least reading it, not knowing it. So this is really the bare minimum, which takes half an hour if you're quick. Doesn't mean that you need to be completely, you need to know everything about it, but at least read about the company, the interview, the industry. Why don't candidates prepare? Could be lack of time, lack of motivation, the approach or the attitude, I will wing it, I'll make it work, which usually is that they say, I'll rely on my charisma or experience. Or they rely on having conducted interviews themselves, but recruiting somebody requires a completely different set of skills than being recruited. So interviewing somebody is not the same as being interviewed. So here, proper preparation means read everything you can get a hold on, research the internet and your network, know the most important relevant bits by heart, and ideally be a good conversation partner, have something meaningful or value to say or contribute. It's not always possible, especially not at the first stage, but later stage interviews, absolutely yes. And here again, if you have a job ad, then find examples to all duties and requirements. Job ads, interviews for job ads are very predictable because at the end of the day, they need to see who is the candidate who has done all the things or almost all the things that we're asking for. If for some reason you don't fulfill some, then find alternative arguments. And those arguments, you can find them in both your personal and professional areas. For example, volunteering formally or informally, international travels, shows cultural awareness, side projects, sorry, small consultancy activity, blogging, social media activity, etc. Have answers for all standard questions. There are literally almost no surprises. Even Google has retracted from their initial strategy to ask creative, non-standard questions because they realize that the answers do not predict performance. So there is a set of standard interview questions and they are known, they're not secret. And if you don't know how to respond to certain questions, Google it. There are hundreds of guides on how to answer a question about your strengths and weaknesses and how to answer a question about something else. So really prepare. And if there is a requirement that you don't fulfill, you can then also challenge that or try to figure out why do they expect candidates from an international consulting firm. And I'll show you in a bit how to then answer those questions, especially when you're a non-standard candidate or a candidate that doesn't fulfill all the requirements. So here, for example, the motivation could be that with an international consulting firm, there's a higher likelihood for the person to speak English fluently, that the quality of work is better, that they are more familiar with processes and different methodologies. So here, what we want to do is talk to the skeptic before he speaks to you, and I'll tell you later what that means.
Hi, you have just watched a little fragment of all the know-how at Career Angels that goes into finding the best possible job. We have decided to put our know-how into one very thorough and structured course that is now available on Udemy. In that course, we will walk you through all 4 steps of the job hunting process. Step number 1 is about goal setting, realistic goal setting. We will explain career management theory backed by research, as well as walk you through the parameter bidding exercise. Step number 2 is about your unique selling proposition. In other words, how you position yourself on the current job market. Step number 3 is about communicating that in your CV for applicant tracking systems, and your optimized LinkedIn profile. Step number 4, the last step, is about managing and navigating the job hunting channels, meaning how to network, how to apply to job ads, how to contact headhunters, and how to contact and reach out to decision makers at the companies you would like to work for. So in summary, the course is very thorough, explains all our methodology, and is now available on Udemy. Summarizing, our course on Udemy walks you through the 4 steps of the job search process. Why did we decide to publish it? We did that so that your own job search becomes less frustrating, faster, and more effective. If you'd like to check it out, find the link down there in the description.